Chapter 2. The flower in the house. The rainy season had passed, and the earth was lush and green again, the air thick with the scent of new yam and palm fronds. In the Utuk's compound, a quiet excitement had settled like morning dew on the rooftops. Word had spread that the Udo's family would be knocking on the Utuk's door. Not to borrow, not to beg, but to ask. It was no Gudek the door knocking right. That morning Eno sat quietly with her mother and aunts in the inner room, her heart pacing like a drummer's hand on festival night. The women whispered around her as they prepared the sitting room, placing wooden stools and mats, arranging calabashes and trays. Smoke drifted in from the kitchen where palm oil stew bubbled gently. Outside, the men had gathered. Udwak arrived with his father, Ekong Udo, and several of his uncles and older brothers. They wore their best wrappers, carefully tied, and their walking sticks tapped gently against the ground as they entered. Balanced on their heads and shoulders were trays of gifts, yam tubers, pots of palm wine, kola nuts nestled in leaves, and dried fish wrapped in raffia. The elder men of the Utuk family waited on the opposite side of the room, sitting in low carved chairs, their wrappers crisp, their walking sticks laid across their laps like symbols of dignity. A moment of silence passed, then the greetings began. Idemem fo abekiemem. Is your body in peace? Idemem fo asong. How is your health? Ekongudo, one of the Utuk uncles, finally said, smiling thinly, "You have come to our house. What wind blew you this way?" Udwak's father stood. He cleared his throat, and with a slow, deliberate voice said, "We have come in search of a flower. We hear there is a blossom in this compound, and we have come to ask if we may pluck it if it pleases the soil from which it grew." The room hummed with quiet laughter and nods of approval. Then one of Eno's uncles, Udemudo, asked, "What is the name of this flower?" Udwak stood now. His voice was clear, his eyes steady. "Eno Edit Utuk," he said. "That is the flower I seek." The elder nodded slowly. "Let us see if your eyes are working well, or if you've been misled by the sun." A younger cousin slipped into the inner room and called softly, "Ino D," which meant "Eno come." She emerged slowly, her head lowered modestly, her steps light. She wore a fresh wrapper, her body dusted lightly with camwood. Tiny beads adorned her wrists and ankles, and her hair was threaded neatly in rows. She stood quietly as one of her father's brothers asked, "Is this the flower you came for?" Udwak nodded once, his voice thick. "Yes, that is her." The men turned to her. "What is your name?" "Eno Idit Utuk. Is this the man whose name your heart repeats?" She hesitated, then answered softly, but firmly. "Yes." The women behind her let out quiet ululations, soft trills of celebration. Then Eno turned and slipped back into the inner room, her heart pounding, her hands trembling just slightly with joy. Now the real work began, the negotiations. Palm wine was poured into calabashes, kola nuts broken and shared. The families exchanged proverbs and riddles, as was tradition, a contest of wit and wisdom that carried. The weight of honor, a toad, does not run in the daytime for nothing. If you see one, something is after it, or it is after something. Translation: there is a reason for every action. We did not come here idly. When the palm wine tapper falls from the tree and dies, the tree is not blamed. Translation: a man must take responsibility for his own choices, just as our son has. After much laughter and debate, the bride price was discussed. It was not the size of the gift that mattered, but the respect behind it. Tubers were counted, bottles agreed upon. A final date was set for the traditional ceremony. The men stood, stretched their limbs, and exchanged warm farewells. The Udo family would return soon. Not to knock, but to carry their bride. Inside the women's room, Enno was surrounded with hugs, laughter, teasing songs, and advice about marriage, some wise, some simply nosy. That night she lay on her mat under the flickering light of the palm oil lamp, her hand resting over her chest. She was now a woman promised.